God's shocking message, I am sending someone just for you at midnight. The clock struck 12, and the air was thick with an electric charge. Jake leaned against the window, his heart racing like a drum in his chest. The night sky draped over the small town like a dark velvet blanket, punctuated only by the flickering lights of distant stars. But tonight, something felt different. A chill raced down his spine as he recalled the cryptic message he had received just hours before, its words imprinted in his mind, I am sending someone just for you. Who? Why? What did it even mean? As Jake glanced around his lonely street, shadows danced under the pale moonlight, whispering secrets he couldn't decipher. The wind rustled through the trees, a haunting melody accompanied by the distant sound of hooting owls, creating an eerie backdrop to the profound mystery that enveloped him. Every sound seemed amplified, a cacophony of possibilities, each more shocking than the last. An owl hooted again, and Jake jumped, his breath hitching as he choked back a knot of fear. Then, there was a flash. A bright light flickered at the edge of his vision. Jake's heart skipped as he turned his head, eyes scanning the darkness. Was it just his imagination? The flickering continued, dancing through the branches of the oak tree across the street. His chest tightened, it felt as if the very air around him crackled with tension. Something was coming. It had to be. The message couldn't just be words, it was a promise, or a warning that a sudden silence fell, and for a moment, he could hear his own heartbeat thundering in his ears. But then, a chill swept through the air, stark and cold, wrapping around him like a vice. He could almost hear a voice in the wind, calling his name. Panic rose, swelling like a tidal wave in his gut. Could it be the person from the message? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect, and just like that, the night seemed to amplify its secrets. A low growl erupted from the shadows, sending a jolt through his body. He wasn't alone anymore. A figure emerged, cloaked in darkness, eyes glinting with an otherworldly light that sent icy fingers creeping along his spine. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but he stood frozen. Who or what was this? And why were they here for him? Jake's breath caught as the figure took a step closer, the pulsing light revealing a glimpse of something familiar yet hauntingly strange. The answer he sought lingered at the edge of his understanding, teasing him with the promise of revelation. As the midnight hour enveloped him in its grip, a single thought echoed in his mind, would he dare to find out the truth? The figure paused, bathed in the moonlight that somehow felt both protective and unforgiving. Jake's heart raced, pounding against his ribcage like a trapped animal. He tried to make out more details. Was it a man or woman? A shiver of recognition crept down his spine as the soft glow highlighted the figure's features. Jake, the voice was low and haunting, like a whisper carried on the wind. It sent chills racing through him. You've been waiting for me. No. He wasn't waiting. Not for this. Confusion swallowed him, leaving a bitter taste in his mouth. The figure stepped closer, and Jake instinctively jerked back, the weight of dread pulling him down. He thought about bolting inside, slamming the door behind him, but something held him in place, a force stronger than fear. Who are you? His voice trembled, barely a whisper. The figure tilted its head, that piercing gaze locking onto his. You don't remember me, do you? We were once close. I'm here to help you understand. Memories flickered like shadows just out of reach. Long-forgotten faces haunted him, unfamiliar yet achingly familiar. He shook his head, desperation clawing at his throat. I don't understand anything. What do you want from me? Remember the wishes you made in despair? I am the one sent to fulfill them. But their S.A. price. Jake felt a cold sweat trickle down his back. Price? What price? Panic surged through him. The atmosphere thickened like a storm brewing, and he suddenly felt very small in the presence of the figure. A flash of light erupted behind them, bright, blinding, swallowing the shadows. Jake squinted, struggling to see past the brightness. When his vision cleared, he noticed an odd shimmer in the air, as if reality itself was folding in on itself. Jake! Again, that voice sliced through the chaos. Time is short. Make your choice. The ground trembled lightly beneath him, almost as if urging him to move. Heart pounding, he eyed the figure, torn between disbelief and desperation. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, yet something deeper and gnawing curiosity begged him to stay. I want answers. He shouted, the words exploding from him in a burst of defiance. The figure smiled, a knowing grin that sent a jolt of fear straight to his core. Very well. But remember, not all answers are easy to bear. Some truths may shatter your reality. With that, the encompassing darkness pulsed, and in that fleeting moment, Jake felt something shift within himself. Like a key clicking into place, clarity surged through him, sharp, searing. What is happening? He gasped, feeling lightheaded. The figure extended a hand toward him, the pulsing glow intensifying. Step into the unknown, and you'll discover your path laid out before you. But know this, every choice reverberates. Are you ready to face what lies ahead? Jake's breath caught in his throat as he weighed his options. Run and forget. Or step forward and confront whatever. This was the truth, the unknown, the price that it was in that heartbeat of uncertainty that he felt it, the pull growing stronger, like a magnet drawing him toward the figure. With the midnight hour waning, and uncertainty beating in time with his heart, he took a step forward, the first step toward a revelation that would change everything, what awaited him on the other side. Jake felt a rush of air around him as he crossed the threshold, the glow enveloping him like a cocoon. The world twisted and blurred, colors swirling, shapes morphing. A sudden jolt brought him to a stop, and he stood in a place unlike anything he'd ever seen. The landscape was a mix of familiar and surreal, shimmering trees adorned with silver leaves, a sky tinged with deep purple and gold. Welcome, the figure said, their presence instantly analyzing Jake's bewildered expression. This is the realm of your forgotten wishes. Every instinct in him screamed to escape, to run back to the comfort of his ordinary life. Sweat dripped down his brow. What do you mean? What wishes? The figure gestured, and a vision materialized, a flickering scene playing out in front of him. Jake watched himself as a child, sitting alone on the playground. He saw the desperate moments when loneliness closed in, overwhelming and suffocating. The wishes had started there, whispered desires for companionship, for friends who would understand. They were never just dreams, Jake, the figure continued, voice softer now. They are echoes of your soul's true desires. But with every wish comes a consequence. What do you mean, consequence? He questioned, collapsing into a mix of anger and confusion. You're telling me I wished for this loneliness? Not the loneliness itself, the figure corrected, stepping closer. But you longed for change. And change came, in ways you didn't foresee. As they spoke, shadows gathered around the edges of the realm. Jake felt a prickling fear, as if something sinister lurked just out of sight. Memories of choices past flooded back, harsh words exchanged, friends lost, paths not taken. Was this what he had brought upon himself? Then it fueled his anger. I didn't choose this. I didn't wish for pain. In your pain, you sought healing, the figure replied, their voice steady. But those wishes twisted on themselves. You must confront them to find peace. The scene shifted, revealing a new memory. He saw himself on a winter evening years ago, finding an old, weathered photograph. Faces smiling back at him, friends who once filled his life with laughter, now ghosts in his memory. The weight of regret settled over him like thick fog. How do you expect me to face all of this? He asked, trembling. I can't bear it." "Exactly," came the figure's calm response. "But remember, Jake, avoidance has kept you locked away for so long." Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and a cold wind rushed through, dark clouds gathering overhead. Shadows writhed as if alive, unnatural and hostile. The figure's face turned serious. "You must fight back. Reject the darkness you've allowed into your heart. Acknowledge your past to free yourself for a brighter future." Jake felt the ground shifting beneath him again. He could sense the weight of his fears battling against an undercurrent of hope. But hope felt fragile amongst the chaos. "What do I need to do?" The figure reached out, their hands sparking with light. "You need to embrace the truth, accept your past, but let go of its hold. Only then can you step into your true power." As he stood, wrestling with himself, the shadows surged forward, threatening to engulf him. Panic bubbled at the base of his throat. A flicker of resolve ignited within him. He didn't want to be swallowed whole. Not again. "I won to let them win," he shouted, fists clenching. "You're stronger than your fear." The figure's voice rose, merging with the crackling energy around them. Jake stepped forward, confronting the encroaching shadows. But as he did, he felt an echo, a piercing reminder of the cost of his wishes. What price would he truly pay to reclaim his life? With a final breath, the world around him exploded in a whirlpool of light and darkness, leaving him grasping for control amid the impending chaos. Where would the choice lead him, teetering on the edge of reckoning? The darkness surged around Jake, swirling like a black tide intent on drowning him. He could feel it pressing in, suffocating, whispering his failures, his regrets, accusations that he had never truly faced. In that moment, something within him snapped. No more running. He opened his fists and breathed in deeply. "Bring it on," he yelled, daring the shadows to come closer. The words echoed through the eerie realm, defiance in the face of despair. As if sensing his resolve, the shadows hesitated, pulling back just slightly, as if they were afraid. The figures stepped forward, their form glowing with brilliant light. "Good. Remember this feeling, Jake. The refusal to be a victim of your past is your first step to reclaiming your freedom." Jake squared his shoulders. "What do I do now?" "Face your darkest moments," the figure instructed, their voice calm but resonant. "Confront the choices that brought you to this threshold. Only by accepting them can you gain the power to break free." The ground trembled beneath Jake, and the shadows writhed like wounded serpents. "What choices?" he asked, heart hammering, the anger in his voice shaking. "Your time to remember is now," said the figure as they pointed toward a rippling portal that opened, pulsating in various shades of light and shadow. Jake stepped closer, hesitant but compelled. He flinched as a new scene emerged, a past he had buried deep. His younger self was there again, sitting in a cramped bedroom, the walls plastered with posters of dreams unfulfilled. A family that fought, and a lonely boy wishing for escape. "Please, I can't," he whispered as a wave of shame washed over him. "It is time to face your reality," the figure reminded firmly. The light flickered, and the scene morphed into his teen years, a summer night filled with laughter, friends gathered around a fire. It was supposed to be perfect, but the moment twisted grotesquely as a fight erupted. Harsh words, betrayal, memories of a friendship torn apart as Jake looked on, powerless. "No, I tried to hold on," he protested, grasping at the air as if he could snatch the moment back. "The essence of youth is meant to teach," the figure spoke, "but you have hidden from the lessons." The shadows grew bolder. They crawled closer, a cacophony of taunts and whispers swirling around him. Jake felt their claws sink in, threatening to pull him down into despair. "No!" he shouted, forcing himself to stand against the tide. "You don't own me." The figure nodded approvingly. "Focus your energy. Channel your regret into strength. What did you learn from these moments?" Jake clenched his jaw, struggling to extract the truth from pain. His memories tumbled through his mind like shards of glass. Loss taught him resilience, pain transformed into empathy, loneliness illuminated the value of connection. I've learned that I can change. I can grow, he declared, the power behind his words carving a path through the suffocating dark. As he spoke, the shadows recoiled. The air became electric, a crackling charge blossoming around him in vivid colors of hope and determination. Feel it. Your wishes do not control you, their essence is your fuel now. With every assertion, the darkness shrank, the monstrous figures contorting in agony and retreating. Yet just as Jake felt the first hint of victory, a deep rumble thundered through the ground. A figure emerged from the portal, cloaked in shadow. You think you can deny what you've wished for? It sneered, voice cold like ice. Jake's heart plummeted. He faced the figure, each breath heavy with dread. Who are you? It's time to reveal the true cost of your desires, the shadowed figure hissed. Jake felt the ground shift beneath him, a new darkness threatening to swallow him whole. What more would he have to confront before he could awaken to a life unchained? The shadowed figure loomed closer, the darkness around it writhing like a living entity. Jake's heart raced, pounding in his chest like a war drum. He fought the urge to step back, the urge to flee was strangling, whispering promises of safety. But he'd already made that decision to face the ghosts of his past, to seize the power in himself. He wouldn't give in now. What do you mean by the true cost? Jake's voice trembled, barely above a whisper, yet there was a fire kindling within him. This was the moment. The figure laughed, a chilling sound that echoed in the dim space. Do you not understand? Every dream comes with a sacrifice. Your wishes, your desires, they resonate within you. They call to darkness just as they do to light. Jake's mind raced. Each choice echoed in his thoughts, choices he had hidden from, avoided like monsters under the bed. But there was no bed to hide under here. Just him, the swirling shadows, and this figure that seemed to embody his deepest fears. Show me, he shouted, feeling the warmth of defiance wrap around him like a protective shroud. If I have to face something, then let us get it over with. The darkness shifted, morphing into tendrils that reached toward him, teasing, taunting. They cast flickering images, moments from his life he had desperately tried to forget. The day he walked away from love, the night he chose ambition over loyalty, the moment he lost his best friend. Each image hit him like a punch to the gut, igniting bitterness inside him. Do you think you can escape these decisions? The shadow figure challenged, stepping forward, revealing its face, a shifting mask of disappointment and rage that warped between 1,000 familiar looks. You are defined by them. With every accusation, the room pulsed with energy, echoing like a heartbeat in his ears. Anguish surged through him, then something else, clarity. He had been running away, hiding behind walls of pride and defense. No. I'm not defined by my failures. Jake shouted, his limbs surging with newfound strength. For all the pain he had felt, for all the regrets that twisted like knives in his heart, he understood now. They were stepping stones, not shackles. I am shaped by the choices I make from this moment forward. The shadows recoiled, as if stung by his words. The light around him flickered brighter in response, an electric burst trembling through the air. Good. The glowing figure cheered, its voice merging with Jake's rising confidence. Harness those lessons. Your pain has ignited your courage. Seize this moment to cast away the darkness. Show them you have learned. Flashing memories of laughter, connection, vulnerability flickered through Jake's mind. He pictured a future where those experiences molded him into someone stronger, someone who could be proud of his journey. But just as hope surged through him, the shadow figure raised its hands in a mocking gesture. You think that's enough? It scoffed, the darkness swirling around it like a hurricane. You will pay for the life you wish to reclaim. I will see to that. With a deafening roar, the shadows surged forward, a tidal wave of despair that threatened to engulf him once more. Panic gripped Jake's throat, but he forced himself to stand tall, breathing deep. The energy within him crackled like lightning, illuminating the darkness. I will not be bound by what I was. He shouted, summoning the clarity of all he had come to understand. That he extended his hands forward, channeling every ounce of determination he had into a blinding force of light. The shadows screamed, their icy hold loosening as they retreated, pulling away like smoke in a gust of wind. But then, above the chaos, a sound sliced through the dark, a chime that rang with clarity. It echoed, reverberating through the hollow place where fear had once dwelled. You have merely begun, the figure snarled, its form flickering dangerously. What you face next will test not just your heart but your very soul. Jake gasped, the realization hitting him like a wave crashing on the shore. What was coming? What unseen challenge lurked beyond this encounter? Just as he prepared to confront the next phase, the world around him exploded in a brilliant flash, and the shadows screamed one last time what awaited him on the other side of this confrontation. The blinding light enveloped Jake, pulling him into a tunnel of brilliance that twisted and turned, disorienting him. As quickly as it began, the pull stopped, and he felt himself drop onto a cold, hard surface. He gasped, trying to catch his breath, heart pounding wildly as his surroundings came into focus. That he was standing in a vast, misty void, the ground beneath him black as coal. There were no walls, no sky, just an endless expanse of darkness swirling with ghostly wisps and shadows, all drifting away from a single pinprick of light in the distance. It flickered like a candle, beckoning, taunting him. What have you done? A voice hissed, venomous and deep. Jake spun around to face a figure emerging from the shadows, another version of the first, yet distinctly different. This one was more defined, its features sharper, eyes burning like two embers. The mere presence sent chills racing down his spine. I've come to face my past, Jake shot back, buttressed by his newfound determination. The darkness trembled at his words, rippling and coiling in anxious waves. Oh, you think that's noble? The figure mocked, circling him like a predator. You're not facing your past, you're running toward your doom. Every choice you made brought you here. Every wish has a price. A wave of doubt crashed over Jake. Could this be true? Was he just a pawn in a game he didn't understand? What do you want from me? He demanded, his voice cracking under the strain. The figure's laughter echoed like thunder. From you? Absolutely nothing. But you must confront one last choice, the choice of sacrifice. To gain something back, you must give up something precious. What will it be, Jake? Jake's mind raced frantically. Sacrifice? The word felt like poison on his tongue. I lost everything already. What more do you want? Frustration surged through him, clawing at his insides. Oh, but that's the beauty of it, the figure cooed, voice dripping with malice. You hold power over your fate. Choices echo through time. You can either lose something from your past or forfeit something that means everything to you now. A new wave of images flooded his mind, faces of loved ones, moments of joy, and those long-buried regrets rising like ghosts. The laughter of his friend, the warmth of his mother's embrace, all of it. Losing anything now felt like a knife to the gut, cutting him deeper than he imagined. Yes. Pick from them, the figure urged, eyes gleaming with twisted excitement. What will it be? Your precious memories or the love you barely let into your heart? Each option twisted inside him, a heavy anchor pulling him down. He stumbled back, fighting against the weight of choice. Would he really let go of cherished memories or risk losing a chance at love? Could he make such a sacrifice? Just as panic threatened to consume him, the world around him began to shift. The shadows expanded menacingly, swirling closer, pushing him as the light flickered beyond the distance. It was getting harder to breathe. Choose. The figure roared, voice shaking the very ground beneath him. Your final test begins now. Will you sacrifice for a brighter future or stay bound by your past? Jake's heart raced with desperation. He could feel the darkness inching forward, like a fog creeping into his veins. This was it. He had to choose. What would he throw away? And what price would he pay? As the shadows drew nearer, suffocating him, Jake's eyes flared with resolve. He took a step closer to the light, whispering in defiance, "I won't be shackled by my past anymore." But as the words left his lips, the figure screamed, "Fool! You will regret this decision suddenly." A piercing scream echoed through the void, a sound that shattered the darkness and rang with finality. What had Jake chosen? What devastation awaited him in the wake of his choice? The darkness pulsated around Jake, wrapping him in tendrils of despair. The scream faded into an eerie silence, leaving only his breath, ragged and quick. He dared to glance at the figure, but it vanished like smoke, swallowed by the void. The shadows, ever hungry, pressed closer, suffocating his resolve. "What did I just do?" he muttered to himself. Panic clawed at his throat as he grasped at the fragments of his choice, unsure if he had stepped toward light or deeper into the abyss. Suddenly, the light flickered again, a shimmering beacon in the thickening gloom. A sudden compulsion drew him forward, his feet moving instinctively. With every step, the shadows writhed, hissing in anger with each inch he gained toward the light, as if his resolve was a flame igniting their fury. Jake reached the light, more brilliant than he had imagined. It pulsed softly, illuminating the mist around him in hues of blue and gold, offering warmth he hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. His heart thumped in time with its rhythm, a silent promise that something awaited him beyond this dark encounter. As his hand stretched toward the glowing orb, the air shifted. The darkness hissed louder, and for a moment, he hesitated. A vision darted through his mind, a fleeting glimpse of his mother's smile, the laughter shared with old friends. But alongside those memories, a feeling of emptiness struck him. He had missed chances, shunned love that was offered, all while clinging to his pain. Focus! He urged himself, shaking off the memories. This was his moment. He wouldn't shrink back now. With renewed desperation, he lunged for the sphere of light, ready to accept whatever it had to offer. The instant his fingertips grazed the surface, time froze. An electric pulse coursed through him, igniting every nerve and illuminating his mind with clarity. Suddenly, he was no longer in the void. He found himself in a different space, a serene meadow bathed in sunlight. It was surreal, beautiful, yet as haunting as the void he just escaped, but something changed his certainty. In the distance, he saw silhouettes. Figures appeared slowly on the horizon, growing more defined with each step. His heart raced as familiar faces filled the distance, loved ones he thought he had lost forever. Their smiles danced before him, sending waves of warmth through his chest. "Jake!" they called, voices lifting his spirits. He stumbled forward, tears stinging his eyes, but then the ground shook beneath him. The meadow started to tremble with dissonant laughter, echoing from the shadows that still clung to the edges of his vision. "No! This can't be!" he shouted, desperate to hold on to the joy. "Not again!" The laughter grew louder, morphing into a cacophony of whispers. Jake fell to his knees, fighting the urge to flee. "You can't take this from me!" he screamed, feeling the joy slip through his fingers like grains of sand. But the figures began to dissipate, fading back into the shadows that coiled tightening around him. "You made your choice, Jake," a voice boomed, the same sinister timbre echoing through the light and darkness alike. "You didn't just leave behind your past, you've sacrificed the possibility of a future filled with love. Now, you must face the consequences." Panic clawed at his insides, and just like that, shadows wove around his grief, binding him tighter. He clawed at the air in desperation, but the faces of his family were gone, replaced by looming darkness that mocked him. The light flickered, dimming, revealing the truth. "Welcome to your new reality, Jake," the voice intoned, softer now, almost sympathetic. "What will you do next?" "This is only the beginning." Jake stood frozen as the shadows pulsed with energy, dark tendrils stretching towards him, merging with the light. His stomach twisted. What consequences awaited him, hidden in this surreal realm? And could he still find a way to regain what he had sacrificed? Jake's senses sharpened, catching the sharp tang of the air, the prickle of impending doom against his skin. He stood amidst the dimming light, breathless and trembling. Every fiber of his being screamed to flee as shadows twisted around him like serpents, their whispers a mocking chant of his failures. Each word was a blade, cutting deeper into his heart. You chose this, you chose despair, you chose darkness, stop. His voice rang out, filled with terror and defiance. I want to live. But the shadows responded with a chilling laugh, an echo that shuddered through the fading meadow. Live? You were already slipping away. The energy shifted, crackling around him, forcing him to confront the truth buried deep within himself. He had been sinking, hadn't he? Clinging to bitterness like a lifeline while ignoring the love that had once surrounded him. As the last traces of his loved ones faded, anger surged within him, igniting a flame he thought had long been extinguished. I refuse to see it. He shouted into the shadows, his voice trembling but resolute. I won to let you win. In response, the darkness recoiled momentarily, the laughter fading into a hushed serenade. The flickering light swelled, illuminating the fading edges of shadows as if responding to Jake's newfound strength. For the first time, he felt the overwhelming tide of hope surging through him. With every ounce of willpower, he pushed against the darkness. I've made mistakes, he continued, his voice steady, but I'm ready to change. I want to fight. The shadows writhed violently, dispersing momentarily, revealing a path beneath his feet. The warm light surged like a heartbeat, pulsing and inviting him toward a shimmering portal that opened before him. It was filled with swirling colors and the sound of laughter, a melody that felt like home. Step through, Jake, the soothing voice returned, this time laced with urgency. Face your choices, face them to redefine your destiny. He hesitated, glancing back at the shadows, which were coiling tighter, desperate to pull him back into their depths. Each whisper was like barbed wire against his soul, scratching at him, taunting his doubt. What if it's a trick? What if you're just leading me to more pain? Your past is pain, the voice replied gently. But your future, it can be something else entirely. Jake felt the weight of everything he had lost. The choices, the love unexpressed, the warmth and laughter of family that had once made him whole. It was time to confront it all. With a deep breath, he stepped forward haltingly, but with certainty. The moment he crossed the threshold, the shadows screamed a raw, heart-wrenching sound that echoed behind him. Suddenly, he was enveloped in light, and he felt warmth flood every inch of his being. But as the edges of the portal shimmered around him, he caught a glimpse of a figure standing in the shadows, a silhouette against the bright glow. Jake, wake up. The voice called out weaker now, filled with an unusual urgency. The darkness curled and screamed one last time, and as it did, the portal sputtered and began to close rapidly. Time felt like it had stopped and quickened all at once. Wait! Jake yelled, desperate for the figure to step into the light. I'm not done. Who are you? Your past will follow, Jake. You can't escape it that easily. The figure shouted just as the light engulfed him fully, the dark tendrils thrashed behind him like a wounded animal, and the world around him spun until everything went black. What followed was silence absolute and suffocating, leaving Jake breathless and uncertain of where he was. But then, the sound of soft breathing reached his ears, and a familiar voice broke the stillness. You're finally here, we've been waiting. Who was waiting? And what would he have to confront to finally reclaim himself? As light gradually seeped into Jake's awareness, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease clinging to him like a wet blanket. His senses strained to process the shift. He was no longer trapped in the grasp of the shadows but in a vast, ethereal space filled with a soft, shimmering glow. He blinked, adjusting to the brightness. Around him, faint silhouettes danced gracefully. He felt weightless, suspended between realms, but the voice that had beckoned him was still as sharp as a knife in his chest. Bursting with uncertainty, he gasped, "Who is waiting? What do you want from me?" The figures paused, their shapes shimmering with the cadence of conversation unsaid. Then, he heard it again, a whisper that felt like a warm breeze, inviting but laced with urgency. "You need to remember. They cannot help you unless you confront your choices. Confront. The word echoed within him, spilling bitter memories across his mind like ink on paper. Jake clutched his head as images flooded back, moments of laughter, lost chances, hurt wrapped in promises unkept. Was this his punishment? Was this the reality of his past? He stumbled forward, hands reaching out, grasping for something solid. Show me. Show me what I've lost. Without a response, the air shimmered, drawing him into another vision. He found himself in the living room of his childhood home, a cozy place filled with laughter and love, a stark contrast to the darkness he had just escaped. There was his mother, her warm smile lighting up her face, the sound of her laughter ringing in the air like church bells on a crisp Sunday morning. Jake! She called, a melody of warmth and heartache entwined. Come here, sweetheart. For a moment it was as if he had stepped through time. But even as his heart raced with longing, a creeping fog of despair began to overshadow the scene. With each step he took toward her, the laughter began to wane. His mother's smile dimmed, replaced with a look of concern. Jake, you have to remember. You can't let them take you again, and oh. He shouted, hands covering his ears as the echoes of laughter turned to muffled cries. I can't. I can't face it. The world around him blurred, retreating into shadow once more. Suddenly, the realm shifted again, dragging him into a fray of darkness where guilt wrapped around him like a chain. Snippets of conversations floated by, words that cut deeper than any blade. You left us, we needed you, Jake, why didn't you fight harder? The pain clawed at his heart, choking him, squeezing his breath into ragged gasps. This was torment, a relentless spiral into self-loathing. Yet, amidst the clamor, he could hear that voice again, a haunting tenderness breaking through the chaos. You can still choose to fight. Choose not to be defined by this. Those words ignited a turmoil inside him. Could he dare to believe he could rewrite his story? The shadows recoiled, swirling with menace as if sensing his shift in strength. With a rush of determination, Jake straightened, feeling anger morph into resolve. I won't let you drag me down again. He shouted into the murky cracks surrounding him. I'll face my past. I'll forgive myself. Bright light erupted like fireworks, and in that luminous storm, he felt the grip of darkness loosen. Yet, just as clarity began to seep in, a chilling howl pierced through the brightness. Who do you think you are? A voice echoed, a low, sultry drawl that coiled around him like smoke. You can't escape what you are. You're nothing without us. What? Panic surged through him. The energy vibrated as the shadows reformed, more solid this time, bearing a countenance that sent shivers down his spine. They were back, and they weren't finished with him yet. Choose wisely, Jake, before the light fades. What choice lay ahead? Would he withstand the pull of despair, or would he lose himself again? The question hung heavy, pulsating like the reverberation of a drum echoing in his heart. And just like that, the light flickered again as Jake stared into the abyss, uncertain of what lay beyond. Would courage be enough to overcome the darkness, or would he finally succumb? The light shimmered, pulsating softly, urging Jake to take a step forward. The shadows twisted in response, their forms undulating with a malevolence that was almost alive. Choose wisely, Jake, the deep voice taunted, echoing ominously. You have lost everything once. Are you ready to lose everything again? The weight of darkness pressed down on him, every vile whisper chipping away at his resolve. It felt as if he were standing on a precipice, the ground beneath his feet threatening to crumble. He cast a quick glance toward the shimmering light, almost blinding in its brilliance. I won't let you control me. He shouted, determination rising within him. I choose to confront my past, to embrace every piece because it's mine and mine alone. The shadows surged forward, but the moment Jake spoke, a surge of energy radiated from within him. I choose to forgive myself, he declared, clenching his fists. Every mistake, every regret. They are a part of me, but they will not define me. As the words left his lips, a palpable shift occurred in the air. The shadows recoiled as the ground around Jake lit up, vibrant hues of gold and blue breaking through the murky depths. The presence of his fears, on the edge of overwhelming him, began to dissipate. He felt the warmth of hope flood through his veins, igniting a fire that burned brightly in defiance of the darkness. With newfound strength, Jake pushed through the looming shadows. He closed his eyes and envisioned the faces of those he loved, their laughter, their smiles, the moments he held dear. Each memory shone brightly, cutting through the gloom like a beacon. "I won't lose them again," he roared, and the shadows shrieked, swirling like a tempest around him, desperate to drag him back, but this time, instead of retreating, he pressed on. The light engulfed him, lifting him from the clutches of despair. He felt the oppressive weight of the shadows lift, one by one, dissolving into nothingness as the light expanded. Suddenly, he found himself in a lush field, sunlight spilling like golden confetti across the landscape. The air was warm and sweet, the sounds of laughter mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves. It all felt so alive, vibrant, so foreign yet wholly familiar. He looked around, and there, amidst the flowers, were the familiar faces he had once thought lost forever. "Jake!" they shouted, voices ringing with joy. His heart soared, recognition flooding him with warmth. They were here, just as he had remembered his family, friends he once lost, all gathered in this ethereal place. But how? He breathed, astonishment coloring his voice. "Is this real?" A soft laugh floated through the air. His mother stepped forward, her expression radiant, arms wide open. "Yes, sweetheart. This can be your reality. You chose to face the truth, and in doing so, you've reclaimed not only your past but your future." Tears filled his eyes as he rushed toward her, wrapping his arms around her, squeezing tight. "I missed you so much," he cried, feeling an ache he didn't know had existed fade into the embrace. "It's time to let go of the burdens you've carried, Jake," she whispered gently, pulling back to look into his eyes. "You have the power to rewrite your narrative. The memories of pain can transform into the strength that guides you to happiness." Jake nodded, moments of understanding flashing through his mind. He wouldn't be free of pain, but against it, he would rise stronger. He could nurture love and let it blossom. No more running from what haunted him. "Thank you," he murmured, though he knew those words didn't encompass the depth of his gratitude. As he stepped back, the landscape shifted again. Now the field surrounded him with laughter and warmth, spreading into a horizon of possibilities, a future waiting for him to embrace. As he beheld his loved ones, his heart swelled with a new realization. Every loss, every shadow, had led him here, to this moment of clarity. "Let us create a new beginning," Jake said, glancing at each friend with determination. "Together, we can face anything." They laughed and cheered, surrounding him in warmth and encouragement, and so, with the vibrant light of hope shining brightly around them, Jake took a deep breath, ready to face the future. He had chosen love over loss, resilience over regret, and joy over despair. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one he would write for himself, filled with every color of his heart and soul. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue across the world and illuminating his path ahead, he smiled. It was time to live, truly live, without fear of the shadows that no longer held power over him. This was more than just a tale of confronting fears, it was a promise to cherish love, to embrace challenges, and to always seek the light, no matter how daunting the darkness may seem. Now, as you've reached this thrilling conclusion, it's essential to connect. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss any exclusive stories that come next. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Let us hear your thoughts. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your engagement matters, and together we'll keep this amazing community thriving.